Elizabeth Audencream.
This one's wife. Here's some hot tea for you. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and your glorious narrator is getting down with the kids and utilising the terminology of spilling the tea, which, as I have come to understand, means sharing some information, usually something which might be a bit juicy. It could be gossip, it might be true, but it's time to share the tea. Although undoubtedly the kids will probably tell me it's called something else now, but there we are, we'll go with tea. Now, as you know, the purpose of this channel is to talk about narcissism and psychopathy, but mainly narcissism because that is more prevalent. What I do is treat you as the excellent viewers that you are and the adults that you are to enable you to make your own minds up about material. I simply provide you with the explanation as to what that behaviour means. So, for instance, the recent behaviours of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, I put them under the Tudor scope to make an analysis of what those two individuals are, and then having made that determination, from time to time I will report on their activity as seen through the lens of their narcissism. By way of contrast, J.K. Rowling was analysed, and the outcome for her was that she was found to be an empath, and as a consequence, from time to time, activity that she engages in will be utilised to demonstrate her super empathy, for example. I regularly explain to you to go to the evidence, to utilise critical thinking. Where, for example, I analyse something that this one's wife has produced herself, we know that that has been created. We know that it exists. It's filmed footage of this one's wife, for instance, crouched in her garden as she's having a wee, telling us about the launch of As Ever. And therefore, we know those are the words that she has spoken, and we know those are the words that she has broadcast on her own Instagram account. There might be instances of querying whether something shown is a photoshopped image, but where she has spoken it in a film that she has appeared in, that is primary evidence, which then we can say, well, that's what we saw, that is what we heard, and then I tell you what it means, because she is a narcissist. In other instances, one will look at material that has been reported on by generally credible news sources that will either attribute a particular source and name it, or fall back on the handily sources, well-placed sources, high-up sources, etc. And I will then leave it for you to determine whether you accept that evidence or not. You can test its veracity, and I then, on the basis that if it is correct, interpret what this means vis-a-vis the narcissistic behaviour of this one's wife, her interaction with Harry, and so on and so forth. From time to time, I will identify, because it's a matter of the identification of evidence, instances where pure, unadulterated bullshit has been issued about this one's wife and or Harry. As you know, I'm no defender of them, but I am somebody that wants individuals to apply critical thinking and go to the actual evidence. And far too often, we have instances of individuals quite simply making up shit for the purpose of gaining clicks and revenue. For instance, talking about that this one's wife was excluded from an awards ceremony when it simply didn't happen because there's no reportage anywhere else about it, and it also seemed unlikely. The fact that she was criticised by Queen Latifah, even though there is no reportage from anywhere else other than one or two videos which all originate from the same place. Or, even as was the case yesterday, suggesting that Harry had been hospitalised when there was no evidence whatsoever to support that that was the case, that There was no reportage across any kind of media. It wasn't even picked up by other YouTubers. And for instance, organisations such as TMZ would be all over that before a random YouTuber. I do this because the point is that trotting out what is made up bollocks, but not stating as such, plays right into the hands of this one's wife and Harry, so that they can point to it and state, see, people tell lies about us, that's clearly untrue, and then enables them to not only discredit that particular source, but then use that to pollute others who might be telling the truth about this one's wife, but there is some contested aspect of the evidence. It's typical of a narcissist to do this, that the narcissist will find an instance of a barefaced lie and say, see, that person has clearly told a lie about me. And the third party goes, yes, I can see that's the case. And then what they will do is they will turn to someone who may well be telling the truth about them, but it seems contentious, that the evidence perhaps isn't quite all there. And then they will say, and that's a lie also. And the third party will think, well, yes, this is a person who's repeatedly lied about. They've shown me 5 different instances of outrageous lies that have no evidence behind them. So I'm inclined to believe them that when they tell me this 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th instance are all lies, they're lies also. And therefore, it undermines those that actually do look for evidence and draw firm conclusions, and allows this one's wife and Harry to get away with it. You see, I mention all of this because it's relevant to the point not only of this channel, which is about allowing you to make your own mind up before I then tell you about how her narcissism causes her to behave, but also with regard to the consideration of evidence. And there's an excellent example of the production of evidence which I will then use to demonstrate an aspect of her narcissism. And, as always, I will provide appropriate credit. The post appeared from appropriate Panda 467 on the Saint This One's Wife Reddit thread that referenced a post on X by a Mrs. Weasley who referenced a video that they had just watched. And I think I understand correctly that it comes from a YouTuber called Think Beautiful. So well done for identifying this piece of evidence. And to summarize, we don't need to go through the whole of the video. Basically, the video shows that the relevant individual went to the As Ever website and was able to find the source of this one's wife's teas. And this person uncovered the code, and it demonstrates that the provider of the teas is actually something called the Republic of Tea. And they have their own site, republicoftea.com. This isn't really a surprise, I suspect, that we found through this YouTuber evidence that this one's wife utilizes an alternative supplier. But of course, she doesn't really want you knowing about it because she wants to cultivate the image of her being the supplier of the tea. In the way that she's created this image of her gathering the raspberries to then make spread, and that she has harvested the honey to then sell it, and that she regularly has produce available in her garden. She wants to create this illusion that she is the harvester and the producer, although we know that she is not. She doesn't want you being reminded of the fact that all of the products that she is selling with a markup are created by other people. Now, she's not the only person that does this. It's right to point that out. But usually what tends to happen is that, let's say, someone like Martha Stewart or Gwyneth Paltrow, they will, on their own, or perhaps working with a chef, they will come up with a new set of ingredients to create a product. And then they will go to a mass producer and say, I've got an idea for Gwyneth's vaginal tasting cookies. These are the ingredients. Will you now source these, produce the cookies for me, which I will then sell through my site? And they go, yes, we will. So the idea, the creation of the product, the creation of the ingredients is formulated by her. It's not the case that she is the one who is then sourcing all the ingredients and standing over a hot cauldron, bringing it all together. She takes the idea and the ingredients to somebody else, so it's a more involved process. With this one's wife, we know she doesn't do that, because at the end of the day, raspberry spread is raspberry spread. Honey is honey. Crepe mix is crepe mix. She's not done some unusual twist on it. It's just a standard crepe mix or cookie mix. So what she has done is basically said, you provide cookie mix, you provide crepe mix, you provide spread, you provide teas, I'll slap a label on it, and then I'll charge extra. So what she's doing is commandeering other people's products, making it seem like they're hers, and then slapping a label on them, and basically charging an uplift for stickers and labels, and that's it. And thus, with this person finding where her teas come from, you can see the difference that they charge for their teas and what she charges for the teas. And in effect, what she's doing is slapping her grift on somebody else's hard work. So for instance, you can spend $12 for 12 bags of As Ever tea, or spend $13 for 36 bags of Republic of Tea's tea. It's not a difficult one, is it? It's the same tea, because it all comes from Republic of Tea, but you can pay more per bag from this one's wife, because of course she slaps a markup on it in order to try and make some money. She's demonstrating character trait acquisition because she's taking the hard work of somebody else and utilising it without adding anything, without changing it, without building from it, that she's simply taking Republic of Tea's product, slapping a package on. In essence, it's precisely what she did in With Love, Meghan, where she bought pretzels from somewhere else and she transferred them from one bag to another and then wrote her own label on them and placed them in the crying makeup guy's bedroom. This is all she's doing, taking tea from somebody else and putting it in her boxes, taking spread from somebody else and putting them in some jars with her label on it. Character trait acquisition, sense of entitlement, lack of accountability. It's demonstrative of her laziness. Why on earth would you buy anything from this one's wife when you can get the same product elsewhere, getting more for less money? You wouldn't. And it demonstrates once again how she has not thought this through, how she is lazy, that she's not brought anything ingenious to this business because, as Think Beautiful has discovered, the tea comes from republicoftea.com, so you can cut out the middle woman and go and buy it yourself if you're so inclined. And, undoubtedly, every single product that she provides, she is just getting from somebody and then putting a label on it, and you could probably go and buy it from the producer direct, thus saving yourself money and avoiding putting money in the pocket of this one's wife. The tea isn't her tea. The tea is that the tea is not her tea. And once again, it demonstrates the character trait acquisition, lack of accountability, and sense of entitlement of this banal narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.